priceless. Bill Clinton heckled by prostitutes in Amsterdam. We know you support sex workers. This has to be the funniest and most truthful headline seen in years. The former President Bill Clinton, who looks like he can hardly talk anymore, was busy delivering the final address of the International AIDS Conference in Amsterdam when he got a surprise interruption from some unwelcomed guests. Chicks on the right reported that Clinton had just started his speech when protesters broke in and began heckling him, chanting and blowing whistles as they made their demands clear. They wanted the complete decriminalization of sex workers worldwide, and even in the United States. The best part of the video is when someone shouted, "We know you support sex workers, please help us." That just should make the week of any person who sat in silence as the media convinced the American people in the late 90s that oral sex was not sex and that he had lied under oath because any red-blooded American male would have. Clinton remained silent as the protesters shouted their demands at him, maybe because he probably knew a few of them. Once they calmed down, the former president commented on allowing people to come here with a grievance and concern, the right to be heard. So in other words, they avoided the conversation. The second demand the protesters had was that they were against the conference being held in San Francisco in 2020. Which really makes no sense since San Francisco was basically ground zero for the AIDS epidemic here in the US back in the 80s. Although it may be because of what San Francisco has turned into under 40 years of extreme liberal rule. It's a sad day when not even prostitutes want to go to a city because of how filthy and dangerous it is. Crime is up sharply and you have to avoid human feces as you walk the streets, but its residents, instead of waking up and trying new leadership, they double down on the same old just as long as they don't try a Republican. Here is more on the decay of San Francisco via Rhino Swamp. San Francisco was once considered to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Now, business are leaving in droves, with the homeless literally taking over this once vibrant city. The streets are littered with trash, drug needles, and poop, yes, human feces. So, how did the city once known for its beauty and cleanliness go from being one of California's most prized possessions to a slum filled with drug addicts, and homeless, and sanctuary status seekers? Liberalism has turned the city once known for its cable cars and the magnificent Golden Gate Bridge, into the city where it is only safe for illegal aliens, for the homeless to use as their personal toilet, and criminals to find safe harbor. It's not just San Francisco, every major city run by liberals turns into a ghetto slum. Cities all across America, that are run by liberal Democrats seem to fall apart. Baltimore, Philadelphia, San Francisco, etc., have all been run by elected liberal Democrats for years, but the problem only seems to get worse. San Francisco's fall from grace has been more recent, and the rapid recession of the city has been fueled by being well known as a sanctuary city. Illegal aliens flood into the city every day to find safety. However, do they contribute anything to the welfare of the city? No. The homeless problems get worse. Pooping in the streets does not seem like this would be acceptable in a civilized society. They now have pooping zones where it is legal to use the city as your personal toilet. So, how does San Francisco combat this problem? Well, for the longest time they have did nothing. They have ignored the problem. Nancy Pelosi has represented the 12th District of California since 2013. Coincidentally, this is about the time when San Francisco's homeless, drugs, and diseased streets has exasperated drastically. Perhaps, liberal ideology isn't the answer? However, now that the city is a sanctuary safe haven for illegals and criminals fleeing prosecution, how do you combat this problem? Liberal answer for San Francisco's homeless problem. An NBC Bay Area did an investigation and found dangerous concoction of drug needles, garbage, and feces lining the streets of downtown San Francisco. The investigative unit surveyed more than 150 blocks, including some of the city's top tourist destinations, and discovered conditions that are now being compared to some of the worst slums in the world. They observed 153 city blocks that stretched for 20 miles in San Francisco. They found that 96 out of those 153 blocks were soiled with piles of human feces. Not only did they observe, They finally caved into pressure to investigate the human pooping in the streets. They also found 41 of the blocks had used drug needles laying in the streets where children play and walk to school. Does this sound like the beautiful San Francisco Bay photos that you have seen on postcards? Likely not. First, you might say that the investigation only covered the dirtiest parts of the city. This would be a false assumption because they covered some of the most popular tourist spots in SF. The investigative unit surveyed 153 blocks of the city. The more than 20-mile stretch includes popular tourist spots like Union Square and major hotel chains. The area, bordered by Van Ness Avenue, Market Street, Post Street and Grant Avenue, is also home to City Hall, schools, playgrounds, and a police station. Here is a very telling chart of the human waste and rise in drug needle usage in SF that Nancy Pelosi and Governor Jerry Brown have helped contribute to. This is the result of sanctuary status cities in America, turning a once beautiful city into one